Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. And of course, welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series, right here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it. Friends, more importantly, asking for yours. Lots to talk about and reflect in today's video. Of course, the January transfer window remains open and there's lots of stuff to discuss. Left back targets, right back targets, midfielder, defender targets, and contractual situations as well. So there's lots to get into, lots of quotes to read and articles to cite. Settle in, get comfortable. Please do drop a like on said video. Said video? This video. I suppose said video. That would help me out a lot. You're all welcome to subscribe, of course, if you are yet to subscribe, and should you choose to do so, please do consider turning all notifications on when you hit that bell. All of them, people. Thank you. So look, I want to talk about Emerson Palmieri, the compensation Chelsea are prepared to pay Lyon to recall him because there's no formal recall clause in the contract. I want to talk about Luca Digne, Sergino Dest. I also want to talk about some targets for the summer, which I find really interesting, but let's start off with Antonio Rudiger. We've heard loads of reports on the German centre-half. One's, many reports that I've reflected on here on Chelsea News. Largely, and sounding positively, the recent ones that Real Madrid have pulled out of the race also say, if we are to believe. That is not confirmed reports, but there were headlines suggesting that they are looking to bring in younger players due to the fact they have Militao and David Alaba, which would kind of make sense. Whether I fully believe that, whether you fully believe anything in the media is one thing, do you know what I mean? Maybe there's still a chance that Real Madrid think, look, if we can still get Rudiger for just a slightly better contract than Chelsea are willing to pay, he would have to show that desire to migrate to Real Madrid over here in La Liga, who are looking good again, by the way. But that simply doesn't feel like the case. Thomas Tuchel recently spoke about Rudiger again in a recent press conference. I'm going to read you some quotes in just a second. Journalist posing the question, it's getting pretty, tight now. He can negotiate with other clubs. Are you taking him out for coffees and stuff like that? To which Thomas Tuchel replied, end quote, "I don't know if it helps to take him out for a lot of coffees. That might even push him out." A joke there from Tuchel. I don't feel he needs a lot of coffees with me. He's a guy who needs to trust you. He needs to feel the connection and trust. He needs to feel the minutes and action. Certainly feeling the minutes of late, Antonio Rudiger. The amount I'd be interested to see how many minutes he's actually played already this season. I imagine it's an incredible amount. I don't feel Tony needs a lot of words, coffees, talks, or invitations to dinners or whatever. He is a top professional. This is what he proves, and nothing has changed. The talks are in good hands. Ooh, la la. The talks are in good hands, ladies and gentlemen. I trust the club 100%. I trust in the player, and it's no problem for the situation for me. It's a no-problem situation? Intéressant, mon ami, or mes amis, whatever. Let's read on. Also, Tony can still deliver. Very true, he's playing incredibly well. He did a fantastic match in a back four. He is super reliable. Nothing has changed. The points of view haven't changed, and once something changes, you'll be the first to know. So there's a lot to unpick out of just a couple of those quotes there. Of course, from his words there, you can probably gauge this was after the Tottenham victory. Speaking of, he played an excellent game in the back four. Not provoked, talking about the system, the shape, the formation. Tuchel took it upon himself to speak about how Rudiger's played well in a back four. Does that mean, or could that infer, or perhaps Tuchel is unconsciously saying, without actually saying, we're going to look to use this formation. He's clearly one of the ones that can do that. He needs to be one of the long-term players here. Do you know what I mean? This guy can play in the back four. We're going to be looking to play in the back four, as well as the back three. This is the kind of player you need around Chelsea Football Club. Interesting, this has obviously met some headlines today. I'm reading this quote out of Football.London article, so they are rotating around here here that I wanted to reflect on Chelsea News. Interesting comments from Thomas Tuchel there regarding Antonio Rudiger. Interesting to read as well. Also, the reports are suggesting that he is no longer interested in Paris Saint-Germain, implying that it would be Real Madrid or bust. But in terms of the break in that story, it would come largely from the Real Madrid side, in terms of perhaps not wanting him anymore for that silly money. And ultimately, he would like to stay at Chelsea, and Chelsea would like to keep him. And from the manager's words there, you'd understand he's feeling confident. So we're still feeling positive in terms of Antonio Rudiger. So let's still quickly reflect on what Fabrizio Romano said about Lucas Digne. Yesterday, he's tweeted Aston Villa have been working for days to sign Lucas Digne. They've always been front runners, have they? Have they? Fair enough. Chelsea out of the race. Chelsea out of the race. He tweeted that yesterday, and he's tweeted again today, 3 hours ago. Key week starting for Lucas Digne. New contracts taking place. Aston Villa making moves. Coutinho and Lucas Digne. Good signings. Some fans will be disappointed by this, some not. I love Lucas Digne as a player, but upon sobering reflection, it doesn't make so much sense to maybe take a risk on this player who will probably want to be first choice. You could argue, yes, that's a healthy dynamic between two rotational players, Chilwell and Digne. Perhaps unfairly discounting Marcos Alonso, who's been pretty good recently. And of course, in steps Emerson Palmieri, who is a player that Thomas Tuchel has been championing? He's championed for a return. And a lot of people I see on social media saying, oh, Tuchel doesn't rate Emerson, which is simply not the case. If you remember when last second half of the season we won the Champions League, you might remember that. He was always referencing Emerson. He was rotating Alonso and Ben Chilwell, but he was also using Emerson left centre-back, left wing, right wing. He wanted to get him in. He was always waxing lyrical, well, not always, but often waxing lyrical wing. And Emerson too, when people weren't talking about him in press conferences, Tuchel would go out of his way to bring him up last season, saying, Tuchel do, he trains so well, he's got the greatest attitude, and I feel bad he hasn't got minutes. That is what Tuchel was saying about Emerson. So he's probably gone, mate, you've been wicked, and I'm not playing you, go on loan. Do you know what I mean? Not like, you're bad, and I don't want to play you. Let's quickly read a couple of quotes before I talk about the situation. Tuchel has spoke fondly about the 27-year-old. He's one of the nicest guys you can imagine. He's always friendly, with unbelievable qualities. This is Tuchel talking about Emerson Palmieri. So he rates him. He's recently quoted talking about him as well. I'm not sure actually have that quote with me, but he recently said, when talking about the market and potentialities for covering the left wing back position, he said, well, there's a guy that we know, we like as a person and knows the club, and that's Emerson Palmieri, because he's, like I said, the aforementioned reasons, he's played the system, he knows the players, there's no settling in period, there's no need to develop chemistry with the players, there's no, he knows the language, he knows everything. Of course, Lucas Digne knows the language, but in the 6 months, which is largely what you're looking at here, you're looking at the second half of the season. If he's amazing, you might want to buy him in the summer, but right now you're saying, all right, Lucas Digne 6 month loan. No, fair enough, with an option to buy. They went into that. They don't want to spend £30 million on a player that they don't know if, they've got 4 or 5 left backs on the books at the moment. What have they got? They've got Alonso, Chilwell, Emerson, Baba Rahman, Azpilicueta. Do you know what I mean? These are all in the books. Do you know what I mean? Granted, Azpi's, want to renew him as a centre-back. So to buy and yet another high-profile, another long-term player on high wages, it's risky. Or bring in Emerson, who's can play really well, and the coach really likes. So the situation with Emerson is, he hasn't, or what if we are to believe, he hasn't got a formal clause for Chelsea to recall him in January. There's no clause that we can trigger or activate. So the understanding is that Chelsea are now willing to pay compensation to get him back. I'm going to read you a couple of quotes from Nizar Kinsella's article on goal.com for further information. Excuse me. What's the problem with Emerson? In terms of the loan arrangement with the League Earned Giants, prohibit a recall due to the presence of an option to buy in the contract. There you go. Nizar Kinsella has highlighted the issue there. He's essentially saying that because they've got an option to buy, that you can't formally recall him. The French side are unlikely to activate the option unless they finish in the top 3 and qualify for the Champions League next season, but are protected by their contract. Bearing in mind, Emerson does start for Lyon. He started last night in Lyon versus Paris Saint-Germain. Of course, they drew 1-0, which is a great result to PSG, and they were 1-0 up for a lot of the time. They ideally want to keep Emerson due to him being one of the club's best players this season. Bang, bang. There you go, playing well. However, Thomas Tuchel clearly wants Emerson more than Digne after losing Ben Chilwell to a cruciate ligament injury in November. Equally, Emerson is understood to be open to returning to Stamford Bridge, where he feels he will get another chance to impress the Blues boss. To break the agreement, Chelsea will have to pay compensation. Cool, so what's an update here? Financially, and in business terms, it makes sense to recall Emerson. The manager, in terms of his desire for a player to come and help reinforce the rest of his season, is to recall Emerson. The player himself would consider it a possible option to please, Thomas Tuchel and get back into the champions of Europe's playing squad. Bearing in mind, Emerson Palmieri is 27 years old. He's entering his prime. Marcus Alonso is in his 30s. Even if Emerson thinks, I can be second choice to, with training and with reintegration, I can be second choice to Ben Chilwell. I'm not saying he should be, by the way. I'm saying it theoretically. If that's what he thinks, he'll think, yeah, I'll give me a crack at that. If it works, he stays. If it doesn't, Chelsea sell him in the summer. Or they try and sell him. People are criticising this, saying, oh, Chelsea have been trying to flog Emerson for ages, and they finally had a chance, and now they're going to ruin that. It's a little bit unfair. He has got value. He is a good player that is respected and playing well for Lyon and Ligue 1. And he's not just some and the fact that Chelsea want him back over sort of relatively high profile purchases is testament to him being like a valued sort of it sounds awful, commodity. Do you know what I mean? A valued asset. Do you know what I mean? So I think is it likely to happen? I have no idea. I've laid out this situation on the table. Who wants what? I'm assuming Lyon contractually and legally could just dig their heels in and say no, thank you. Chelsea could also look to recall Dujon Sterling. Who else? Ian Matson from loans. But really, is that what they want at the moment? The ideal situation is to recall Emerson Palmieri. There is situations with Sergino Dest, of course, a player that can play both right wing back and left wing back. I've already just spoken about the reasons here on the channel before in previous videos. Go check those out if you're yet to watch those. For 16.5 million, which is the published quoted price, I think it's an excellent purchase because you're going to be buying a player that can only really gain in value in terms of coming to Chelsea, being educated, training at Chelsea, being a Barcelona and Ajax player, US men's national team player, which is quite high profile in terms of marketing revenue. Could develop at Chelsea as an attacking wing-back. I think it will be quite good, but there's reports suggesting that he's perhaps not looking to go now in January, even if Barcelona would be looking to generate revenue. This is not me saying and reporting Chelsea will not get Sergino Dest. This window, anything can happen, especially late in transfer windows. It's a crazy time, isn't it? It's a crazy time. But we'll see what happens there. To be honest, if Chelsea just recall Emerson and get some injured players back, Tuchel might be more than happy with that. Remember, Reece James will return eventually. In terms of the right wing-back position, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Azpilicueta, who else? I don't know, Tuchel might feel like he can get creative. I know he's already said he can play. He's considering playing Trevor Chalobah as a conventional right back should they revert to a back four system again, which is quite interesting to play that kind of defensive role. If we play another sort of 4-4-2 with Ziyech in front of Trevor Chalobah, I actually find that quite interesting in terms of tactics. People say it's a 4-2-2-2, but whatever, a 4-4-2 in many ways. That I find interesting. In terms of general updates with transfers and business and development and growth of Thomas Tuchel's project at Chelsea, the same names remain. A lot of rhyming there. Aurélien Tchouaméni of Monaco, very, very highly rated at Chelsea, certainly by Chelsea's performance and technical advisor Petr Cech. If Chelsea are unable to secure the services of Declan Rice, who is looking to be just incredibly expensive, Chelsea will imagine go very hard in on Aurélien Tchouaméni, and I think, but the reports suggest Chelsea are actually leading the race. Should they want to buy Tchouaméni from Monaco, they are in a strong position. And other than that, you know, Jules Koundé we can expect to sign, and it's really those three big names, but as stories develop, I will keep you guys updated. But in terms of January movements, hopefully we can recall Emerson to challenge on most of the fronts there. I, of course, will react to all big updates moving forwards, so be sure you keep it locked to Football Therapy. And I'm going to end the video there, so guys, I appreciate everyone who drops a like on the video. Thank you very much. Consider subscribing, you are all welcome, of course. And yeah, I'll see you very soon. Peace.